Hello everyone, welcome to the schedule of Phase B lectures of the Self-Knowledge course. If you haven't yet watched the videos from the Phase A, I encourage you to look for them here in the video section, as it will be easier to understand the topics of Phase B if you have first become familiar with the teachings presented in the Phase A of the course. Today we will study the second topic of Phase B, and in this lecture we will carry out a guided practice of reflective meditation, reviewing the practice step by step so that we can clarify any doubts that may arise regarding this exercise. And the purpose of this practice is for us to experience reflective meditation directly and to encourage ourselves, if we are not already doing so, to dedicate a daily time to this practice. So in this way, we can go deeper and deeper into the understanding of our own psychology. And before entering into the practice itself, let us first speak a little about what meditation is, the types of meditation that exist, and what each of them is used for. Meditation is a means to attain wisdom. It is often said that meditation is the bread of the wise, because just as our physical body needs to be nourished every day, our soul also needs to be nourished every day with the understandings that we receive from our superior centers when we enter into meditation and when we place these centers into activity. Within our superior centers, that are the emotional and the intellectual centers, which are related to the pituitary and the pineal glands, we find the capacity for psychological self-observation. This capacity allows us to discover within ourselves the manifestation of our psychological defects, and at the same time, it gives us the ability to judge ourselves and to come to understand each of our negative ways of being so that we may eliminate them. And when we begin this wonderful path towards self-knowledge and we start practicing self-observation, we are often surprised to discover how many negative ways of being exist within us. These negative ways of being, or psychological defects, constantly lead us to make mistakes, to fall into wrong psychological states, and to spend the entire day immersed in an incessant inner chatter that doesn't allow our consciousness to express itself. And when we observe ourselves seriously, we come to understand that if we truly wish to advance towards the awakening of consciousness, we must bring about a profound inner change. And such a transformation can only be possible through meditation, right? However, we must understand that there are different types of meditation. It is important to be clear about this because not all forms of meditation will lead us to produce real and lasting changes within ourselves. There are pseudo-esoteric meditations, which are the most common and widespread everywhere. And this type of meditation generally guide us through a relaxation process, allowing us to harmonize ourselves for a moment, or sometimes even to access other planes, but only in a contemplative way. And although these meditations can certainly help us experience a temporary state of peace, of harmony, they don't generate deep changes within us. And because of this, when we once again face situations in which our psychological defects tend to manifest, such as a conflict, an accident, a scene of jealousy, the loss of something or someone, an offense, or a lustful circumstance, we then experience the same sensations and the same emotions. We produce the same types of thoughts, and we end up reacting in exactly the same way as before. This is why it is so important to understand the need to become serious about our practice and to engage in the kind of meditation that truly leads us to experience profound and transcendental changes within ourselves. Among the meditation of a transcendental nature, we have the meditation with koans that we studied in lecture 36 of Phase A. That type of meditation allows us to access the sixth and seventh dimension and to experience samadhi, or the illuminating void, also called. And we also have reflective meditation, which is a practice that we will work with today. Reflective meditation helps us study ourselves, and through the study of ourselves, we can come to know ourselves and transform ourselves. Through reflective meditation, we can work to resolve many kinds of inner problems, such as traumas, recurrent situations, resentments, vices, and so on. And in this form of meditation, we enter deeply into the comprehension and elimination of any psychological defect or negative way of being. The raw material for reflective meditation is the different situations we have experienced through our lives. Each experience we have lived, no matter how difficult or traumatic it may have been, carries within it an important lesson. Hidden within those moments is a certain wisdom, often trapped within the psychological defects that manifested in us at that moment. Only when we return to those scenes in meditation and we observe the negative ways of being that acted within us and truly understand and eliminate them, we can rescue the wisdom contained in that experience. This understanding allows us to free ourselves from those reactions, from those emotions, from that mechanicalness, right? And help us avoid repeating the same mistake again. In this way, we begin to achieve real changes within ourselves. That is why this type of meditation is so important, because after each practice of reflective meditation, we can emerge as better people. Reflective meditation consists of bringing into meditation a scene from our life in which the psychological defect that we wish to work on manifested within us. This may be a defect we already know is repeatedly leading us to make mistakes, to lose energy, to harm others, or to harm ourselves, right? But it may also be something that our inner being has shown us in the astral world, perhaps in a dream or during a conscious astral projection, where we saw ourselves making a mistake or even saw someone else making that mistake. Because we must remember that what we see in the astral plane forms part of our psychological country. Therefore, these experiences always point to aspects within ourselves that we must work on, even though we see others in the astral plane acting in such a way that is actually one of our psychological defects. So, in meditation, what we're going to do, we will reconstruct a scene in which the psychological defect manifested. This could be a pleasant situation or an unpleasant situation. As we recreate the scene, whether it involves anger, violence, fear, lust, laziness, jealousy, infidelity, pride, or a moment in which we hurt someone, for instance, we will carefully observe how that defect expressed itself in us. If we wish to work, for example, in a vice or a bad habit, we will likewise bring into meditation a scene in which that defect clearly manifested. We will recall the moment in our life when that defect appeared most strongly. Then we will examine the scene in detail, observing every reaction we had, the expressions of the defect in our emotions, right? What it made us feel, in our thoughts, what it made us think, in our actions, what the defect made us do, and in the words we spoke. For example, we might bring to meditation a moment in our life when anger manifested strongly, perhaps during a conflict or during an argument with someone. Using our conscious imagination, we will review the scene and carefully observe what was happening within our emotional center. For example, we might discover tension in our emotion, feelings such as fear, annoyance, displeasure, or even hatred. For each of the detail that we discover within our emotional reactions, we will ask our Divine Mother to eliminate it. We will also observe what was happening in our mind. We may notice how anger was influencing our thoughts at that moment, perhaps leading us to imagine revenge, to recall past offenses, or to justify ourselves while blaming the other person. Our aim is to observe everything in as much detail as possible with a sincere intention of self discovery. We will also observe what we desired, what we did, and what we said in that moment, and we will ask for the elimination of each of those negative elements. We will ask our Divine Mother, my Mother, eliminate this defect for any detail that we manage to discover. If at that point we feel that we are no longer discovering new details, a very effective way to go deeper into the defects is to ask ourselves a simple question. Why? Why were we feeling that way? Why were we thinking, acting, or speaking in that manner? And by sincerely asking these questions, we can uncover the deeper defects, because the mind will talk, will try to justify, and we are going to discover there the defect that is hidden in that justification, in that thought, in that action, right? Hidden behind the reaction we had in that situation. When practicing this meditation, there are certain important points we must keep in mind. As we reconstruct the scene, we must avoid identifying ourselves with the scene. We need to establish a certain clear division between the observer, which is our consciousness, and the observed, which are the psychological defects that acted within us in the scene that we are examining. We should watch the scene as if it were a movie, but without entering into the movie itself. In this way, if the scene involves anger, for example, we don't end up becoming angry again or feeling desire for revenge. Instead, we maintain that inner separation so that we can calmly observe our defects and ask for the elimination. Under no circumstances should we accept the justifications that our defects try to present to us. We should not excuse ourselves. Rather, we must judge ourselves sincerely, recognizing clearly that our own defects are the cause of our reactions. At the same time, we must never judge others. The moment we begin to justify ourselves or to blame others for what happened or for what manifested within us, our capacity for transformation, which depends on conscious and critical self-observation, immediately falls asleep. When we believe we see an error in someone else, it is important to place ourselves in their position and remember the times when we ourselves have acted in the same way. In doing so, we begin to understand that the defect we criticize in others also exists within us. Once we understand and eliminate it in ourselves, we will naturally come to understand and to forgive others as well. It is also important to remember to repeat this practice whenever we have the opportunity. In some cases, several sessions of reflective meditation may be necessary to work on a particular psychological defect. Sometimes these defects are very strong because we have beat them through with our energy for a long time, and they are composed of many details that we must patiently observe, discover, and eliminate. Now, without further delay, let us prepare to begin the practice. First, we should find a comfortable position, preferably in a quiet place where we will not be interrupted during the time we dedicate to this meditation. If we wish, we can also have some paper and pencil to write down the details we managed to discover. Sometimes it can be very helpful to note the details we are discovering and to note important discoveries that arises during meditation so that we can go later deeper into them. For example, while reviewing, let's say, a scene of anger, You might discover that the true trigger of your reaction was pride, perhaps because you felt your pride had been wounded. And that reaction of pride gave rise to the anger. So if you come to understand that this is a frequent trigger for your anger and that it has appeared in many other situations, you can write down that detail in order to study pride, right, more deeply later. And remember that every detail of the ego that we manage to understand and eliminate from our psychology represents a portion of our consciousness, of our essence, that we are liberating. Along with the liberation, we recover wisdom and inner strength that had previously been trapped within that defect. And once freed, this energy returns to the consciousness and increases the percentage of consciousness that we possess. For this reason, it is important to be clear about which psychological defect we wish to work on during today's meditation. And if you are now as comfortable as possible, we will begin by performing the protection conjurations in order to harmonize and close the place where we are and to cleanse it of any negative energy. We will also make a brief request for assistance from our inner being. If you have not yet learned the protection conjurations, you can read them here or simply follow along with me. Let us begin by chanting the Belilin, the magical chant used to cleanse the space in which we find ourselves of negative energies and entities. Belilin, 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 Anchor of salvation, I would like to be close to you. Materialism has no power over me. Belilin, 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 Anchor of salvation, I would like to be close to you. Materialism has no power over me. Belilin, 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 Anchor of salvation, I would like to be close to you. Materialism has no power over me. Belilin, Belilin, Belilin. Now let us form the magical circle of protection. Close your eyes and concentrate on your heart. With humility, ask your inner Father in this way. Father of mine, Lord of mine, God of mine, I beg you, if it is your will, to command my elemental intercessor to get out from my body and trace a magical circle of protection around this place in order to make it free from the forces of evil. Elemental intercessor, elemental intercessor, elemental intercessor. Do your work in the name of Christ, by the power of Christ, by the majesty of Christ. Now imagine the elemental intercessor tracing a circle of green fire around the place where you are, moving in a clockwise direction while you mentally chant the mantra S 3 times, like this. Now, let us ask for assistance from our inner Father, who is the force of wisdom within our consciousness, and from our Divine Mother, who is the force of love within us, so that they may guide and assist us during this practice. You may ask in your own words, or you may say it like this. My Father, my Lord, my God, Divine Mother, I humbly ask you to assist me in this practice of reflective meditation so that I may observe, understand, and eliminate this negative way of being from within me. Now we will begin with a brief relaxation process. First, we will relax our emotional center by breathing deeply and slowly 3 times. Let us begin. Inhale slowly and deeply. Hold the air gently. And exhale through the mouth. As you exhale, imagine that all the tension in your emotions leaves your body and your emotional center begins to relax. Now once more. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Now we will relax the mind so that it becomes silent and ready for this moment of meditation. Close your eyes and listen for a moment to all the sounds around you. Simply listen without identifying with any of the sounds. Notice the sounds and let them pass, allowing your attention to reach even the most distant sounds. Let's begin now. Now bring your attention back to your heart. Next, we will briefly relax the physical body. Bring your attention to each part of the body and imagine a bright and gentle light entering the area and relaxing it completely. Let us begin with the right foot. Let's feel it. Let's this light to enter and to relax toe by toe. Now move your attention to the calf. Imagine the light entering, relaxing, calming that area. Now bring the light to your knee. Now to the thigh. Imagine that the light is calming all the muscles, all the tendons, the flesh. The entire leg is now relaxed and filled with that warm and calming light. Now let's do the same with the left leg. Feel your entire foot. Imagine the light entering through your big toe, feeling toe by toe, relaxing all the parts of your foot. Now bring this light to your calf. Imagine that the light is calming, relaxing all the muscles, all the veins. Now move that light to your knee. and the thigh. The entire leg is now completely relaxed. Now we will relax the right arm. Feel your right hand. Imagine that the light relaxes the hand finger by finger, and that the light slowly rises through the arm all the way to the elbow, and then it rises to your shoulder, relaxing your right arm completely. Now you by yourself do the same with the entire left arm. Now your left arm is all filled with this warming light. Now bring your attention to the lower back and the buttocks. Feel the light entering and calming and relaxing. Feel the genital area and the hips. And imagine that the bright light relaxes and releases that entire region. Now feel your stomach. Feel it with the light. Relax all tensions there. Feel your chest with that light. Relax all tensions there. Now imagine that the light spreads through your entire back, relaxing it completely. If you notice any point of tension there in your back or in the body, gently release it and allow it to relax. Feel your whole body searching for any tension and just relax it. Now feel your shoulders and allow them to relax. Feel your neck. Now imagine that this bright light fills your entire head, bringing deep relaxation. Now repeat 3 times mentally or softly. I order your physical body to relax, unwind, and calm down. I order your physical body to relax, unwind, and calm down. I order your physical body to relax, unwind, and calm down. Now that we are in this state of relaxation and harmony, we will move on to the practice of reflective meditation. Now we will begin the practice of reflective meditation. Using our conscious imagination, we will bring to mind a scene in which a psychological defect we have chosen to work on clearly manifested itself. As we reconstruct this scene, we will observe it calmly, as if we were watching a movie, remember, without identifying ourselves with it. Carefully, we'll be observing everything that appeared in that moment. We will observe each thought, each emotion, each desire, and each word or action that arises in that situation. In this way, we begin to recognize the different aspects of the ego that were acting there within us. For every detail that we discover, we will ask our Divine Mother for help in eliminating it. You may do this with a simple inner request, such as, Divine Mother, please eliminate this defect from me. As you observe the scene, try to discover each small detail of the defect that manifested. Observe what was happening in your mind, in your emotions, and in your actions. In your sexual center, for example, all the tensions, sensations that you experience. And if at some point you feel that you are no longer discovering new details, remember that you can ask yourself deeper questions using, for example, why? Why did I react in that way? Or what was I trying to defend at that moment? What did I wanted to obtain? Yeah, what was I afraid of losing? These questions can help us discover the deeper motive behind our reactions and reveal the root defect that was acting within us. Remember that the goal of this practice is not to judge ourselves or to feel guilty, but to judge our defects and understand them so that we can eliminate them. When true comprehension appears, the defect loses strength, and with the help of our Divine Mother, it can be eliminated. During this practice, we will dedicate 10 minutes to review the scene. If you manage to review the entire scene before the 10 minutes are over, you can calmly begin again from the beginning, observing it once more and trying to discover more details. If you wish, you may also take note of the details or understanding that arise during the meditation. And if at any moment you feel, for example, anxiety, discomfort, or any unpleasant sensation, you can also observe that sensation with the same attention and ask your Divine Mother to eliminate it. Relax the area of the body where you feel it and then gently continue with the scene you are working on. Now, remain in silence, observing the scene with attention and asking for the elimination of each defect that you discover. Let us begin now. Well, the 10 minutes of meditation have come to an end. Take a moment to gently return to the present. Become aware of your breathing. Become aware of your whole body and of the place where you are. Allow yourself a few moments to integrate the experience. I hope that during this time you were able to observe, discover, and understand many details related to the psychological defects you were working on. This was only a short guided practice of 10 minutes intended to show you the step-by-step process of reflective meditation. However, the goal is that we dedicate time every day to this practice, working deeply on our own psychology. One helpful way to choose what to work on is to observe the emotional reactions that remain active within us during the day. If a situation still produces irritation, resentment, jealousy, pride, or any other strong emotion, that reaction can be an excellent door for meditation. It usually indicates that there is a psychological defect that still needs to be understood and eliminated. Reflective meditation helps us discover these defects, understand them deeply, and free the consciousness that was trapped within them. This practice can be especially important when we work on the defects related to lust, which prevent us from achieving chastity and from making wise use of our sexual energy. By bringing sins related to lust into meditation, we can observe how these defects manifest in the mind, in the emotions, and in the sexual center, and even how they appear in the body as different tensions or sensations of a sexual nature. And by observing and eliminating these elements, little by little, we free ourselves from the impulses that continually push us toward the mistake of wasting our sexual energy through orgasm and ejaculation. Now let us take a moment, each on our own way, to thank our Divine Father and our Divine Mother for the guidance and assistance during this practice. And with this, we conclude today's meditation practice. I hope that this exercise has been helpful for you. Remember that you may leave any questions or comments, and we will gladly respond to them. I also invite you to join us for the next topic in this cycle, in which we will practice astral unfolding or astral projection. We will have a guided practice. Thank you very much to all of you. And I hope you feel encouraged to continue practicing reflective meditation in your daily life. Bye bye.